Otakuology Podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Okay. Oh, hey. We're live.
How am I supposed to remember who started us out? I can't remember.
Hey, guys. Jin here. Back with another episode of the Otakuology Podcast. I don't know how that happened. As always, my co-host, Otaku Mike.
I am the Otaku Mike, podcaster extraordinaire, YouTuber extraordinaire. Dad extraordinaire.
That's funny. So I think I accidentally hit the mouse or the little box, that you can scroll your finger across.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we started? No, we didn't. Well, oh well.
But you picked this anime for us to cover, which was Eden. It's a TV series that came out in 2021, so it's somewhat relevant.
Yeah.
This is a CG anime. It was produced by CG Studio Incorporated is what it's called. That's a tongue twister right there.
That is a tongue twister.
I'll tell you that much. It was directed by Yoshiori Ira and written by Kimiko Uno. I don't know how to say that name. I probably just butchered that name. To all hell.
We're gonna get
some notable.
Maybe they'll comment back to us on it.
But some notable things that the director has worked on. He has worked on the Vision of Escaflowne, Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Sorry, Revolutionary Girl Utena, Cowboy Bebop is one of them. He worked on the original Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He also worked on Codebreaker. I have no idea what Codebreaker is, but we worked on that. He worked on Soul Eater as well, and a bunch of other. Oh God, he worked on Spriggan 1996 Spriggan movie. Oh no, cancel this guy right now. Just go ahead, cancel him. He worked on Spriggan.
Oh my God. I don't know what else to say on that one. But that's funny. Just cancel him. Just right now. It doesn't even matter.
Just cancel him right now. He worked on Spriggan. We don't need to deal with him at this moment,
We don't need to worry about this crap.
We don't need no Spriggan in our lives.
Yeah, because we've already covered Spriggans.
Although he did work on the Escaflowne movie and the Cowboy Bebop movie.
The live action or the other one?
Other one.
Okay.
The Knocking on Heaven's Door.
I like the Cowboy Bebop one.
I mean, I do too, which we'll have to cover that someday. But yeah.
Why not today? All right, we're not covering Eden anymore. We are now covering Cowboy Bebop.
No, we have to cover Eden because you made me watch this show.
We'll cover it
now.
later.
Now I have to watch it.
We'll cover it later. We can cover the Bebop movie right now.
Well, it got canceled. The new show got canceled, right?
The live action?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that multiple times.
It got canceled. Disappointed. I enjoyed it.
Oh man, yeah. But the funny thing is, like, from what I heard from most people, like, I heard a lot of positive feedback, and then you have a lot of people that like Cowboy Bebop and will defend it tooth and nail for, like, not having a consistency to it, not an actual storyline. And they were like, "Oh yeah, it was so much better, The anime was, And I'm like, well, I agree. The anime was pretty good, but
I mean, the anime is a classic for a reason.
right. So I mean, there are some of those people that I know, like tooth and nail, were like, "Oh, I'm so happy that it got killed off."
Oh,
I just want to
well,
be like, "Fuck you."
yeah.
That was like one of the better live actions we've had in
I
years.
don't. This isn't the Cowboy Bebop podcast, but I don't think it was given the chance it deserved.
That's true.
Anyways, you want to get off and tell us the synopsis for this particular anime, Eden?
Yeah, I'll
Do you
tell
have
you.
it?
I'll tell
Do
you
you
for
have
the
it?
Cowboy Bebop movie.
Do you have it? Do you have the synopsis pulled up for this movie?
Give me 1 second.
You don't have it pulled up, do you? I'll say because I have it pulled up.
Wait, I got it.
Okay.
Scrolly, 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 scrolly. All right. Come on, you. All right, we went to the synopsis.
Yeah, the synopsis.
All right, so
God, you suck at this. You suck at this.
the plot centers on a mysterious terrorist planning to destroy the human population on Mars using
That's Cowboy Bebop.
I was like, Mike's gonna get a kick out of this. He's gonna be like, "What the hell are you talking about? That didn't happen."
Anyway, let's get this podcast is off to a great start. Let's get into this anime.
1,000 years after humans disappear from the Earth, a gleaming monolithic city known as Eden 3 is inhabited solely by why do they have it spelled? Artificially
Artificially?
intelligent robots. I don't know. Artificially intelligent just wasn't like adding up in my brain. Artificially intelligent robots whose former masters vanished long ago, although they continue to grow agricultural produce on a routine assignment on the surrounding farmland. Two main maintenance robots accidentally awaken a human baby girl, Sara Grace, from stasis, questioning their belief that humans were a forbidden ancient myth. Together, the two robots secretly raise Sarah in a safe haven outside Eden 3.
No, it's Sarah.
That's true. Sarah.
Sarah.
Right.
You want to get us started on this? Let's talk about it. Why did you watch this anime?
Oh, before?
Yeah.
It was just something I turned on, it
Just
looked
something
interesting.
having on the background type of thing.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I knew that this week we were a little behind on figuring out what we were going to do. I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot this is kind of in my back pocket that we could watch this because it's great. I feel like it's a good thing because you could watch all of it as like a movie, I guess, all 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like short and sweet. There's not
My-
too many episodes to it.
My question is, why didn't they just make this into a movie?
I don't know.
Because it's like the length of a movie.
Yeah, because it's almost 2 hours.
Yeah, like 4 episodes, 25 minutes apiece.
Yeah,
it's not that bad. But we start out in this world where we kind of switch back and forth at the beginning through time, which you don't really know that at the beginning. You see glimpses of the past and the future. But we see Sarah coming out of a giant robot, fighting a giant robot. And then it goes back to the past, which we find out where these two robots, which are named A37 and E92, which we will just call Mom and Dad because that's what they're known as. They're working in this it's like an apple orchard, right?
Yeah.
collecting apples to get power and like generate power and stuff, if I remember correctly. And they find this capsule in the ground. It's like next to a tree, sort of, and a little girl comes out of the capsule, and they like, oh no, it's a human. Oh no, it's a human. Humans are bad human, and they come to find out that humans aren't bad, and they want to help this human whose name's Sara Grace, and they help her. They hide her out in the area that they're in, Eden 3, right?
Yeah.
They're in Eden 3, right? If I
Eden,
remember correctly.
Eden 3 is what the big cube is called.
And what were they at? Where were they at? They were at Eden 3.
I want to say they were at Eden 4.
I think it was Eden 3 they were at.
Because I know all the different cubes are different places, and I thought Eden 3 was like the main home base.
But they start to raise this child, and that's one of the fun parts about this movie is they start to raise her and teach her things, and they start to learn how to more about children, which is funny because like they don't know like that she needs nutrition and food. They think she needs to be put on a recharging station at one point, but she needs actual food, so they give her apples, and they what was it they did? They did something. Oh, they had a hard time. What was it? Hiding her from the other robots, because if they found her, they would like supposedly like kill her, if I remember correctly. And
them.
Yeah, which we meet the evil robots, which is Zero, who's the main robot who is the bad guy of this show.
Well, and I just want to point out before we go like further into that, would you classify Zero as a robot, or would you classify Zero as like an android, or not an android?
From what do we want to get into that spoiler aspect of it, or as of right now, he's a robot.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody.
We could touch on it, just not go into the backstory.
At the moment, I say he's a robot.
Okay.
I think he's a robot. Kind of like the whole like Ghost in the Shell thing, where they have like the cyber brain and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
How they can like download their consciousness and other things. But yeah, they had a hard time finding, or a hard time hiding Sarah, and they end up witnessing this terrifying event to where the one of the other robots finds like this like hologram thing of a human, and they're like, uh-oh, you have human contraband, so they have to like rewrite this robot's programming, and they're like, we got to get out of here, we can't let anybody see Sarah. So they end up leaving and finding a sanctuary.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the sanctuary was called?
No,
it was just a robot. It was where other robots would leave or live, and they would live there, and they came to protect Sarah, and Sarah grew up there. And we switch to present time, which is Sarah is now technically an adult, right?
Young teens, I would say.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what happens next with Sarah when she's older, and
when she starts being a mechanic?
Yeah, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, so she starts being a mechanic and like upgrading all the robots a little bit by fixing them, because that's one of the other problems is with the robots that are at this place, they can't really like fix themselves too much. Because don't they have that little bitty one that tries to fix them, but
PJ is his name.
He doesn't have like all the stuff to actually like do anything.
Yeah.
And he's just a small droid. He's not meant to do what he's doing,
He's kind of like the R2-D2 of their universe.
Right. Yeah. And so she ends up kind of taking up that mantle where she
Yeah.
makes them better, fixes them, everything else. And in all of that, she kind of ends up stumbling a little later on in the episode into like this giant mech robot thingy.
Yeah, and she hears a voice coming from the robot
Yeah,
itself. It's saying, "Hey, I need your help," basically. And so she decides to try to find where this voice is coming from, and it's coming from Eden 3 is where it's coming from.
yeah,
But at this point, like, uh, the bad guys are looking for her, and they're trying to not. The robots are trying to hide Sarah, but she's like, "No, I gotta go. I gotta find what exactly I'm looking for. I gotta see if there's other people out there."
yeah. 'Cause
And
she starts exploring. Yeah,
which is very much a catalyst for her to go out to try to find these people, but she gets a lot of pushback from her mom and dad robot. Like, they don't want nothing to happen to her, like, whatsoever, but she is very much somebody who goes out looking for adventure, trying to find new things, learn about the world she's living in, or or about the world that came before. She's very curious in that aspect
right.
of what
Well,
exactly happened.
and it's just kind of weird how the limited amount of stuff that those robots had.
Yeah, that's true, because they even say at some points that they would go scavenging for stuff, and she would go scavenging for stuff, particularly like books and uh different types of electronics and stuff like that, in which they opposed her doing, because they didn't want her doing, because of like radiation material and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that's
uh,
kind of what PJ was for, right? Because PJ
I
kind of like tell that stuff.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember what exactly he was used for
But
in that aspect.
I mean, the other thing is it was funny that we did have like a collective of different robots and whatnot, though.
They're very much like misfit robots.
Yeah, reminds me of Rudolph in the Lost Island of Toys.
Right? It totally does. I totally got that vibe from that.
But I
Um,
mean, we did get like the different robots and stuff because usually, if you were like a certain type of robot, I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of like Star Wars. If you were a B1 battle droid, you were the same as every other B1 battle droid. You all did
yeah,
the same thing, kind of,
yeah,
sort of. So that's kind of how it was set up in this too. Like if dad bought, you know,
yeah.
any other one that looked like dad bought, most of the time they were an apple picker or something else like that. They had
Uh-huh.
like certain designated jobs. So I really wonder if she picked up as many skills as she did because of the different varieties of robots that were at
I
the
I
place.
think possibly she did pick up those skills and kind of learn from them
Yeah,
a little bit. But one thing I have to seriously question is her diet in this world, because
definitely.
it seemed to be just apples and corn were the two
Definitely.
main things that she ate.
Yeah,
And I was like, how is she able to survive on just apples and corn? She doesn't have any like protein or anything like that. Like,
this is true.
she's just sitting there eating on apples and corn. And I'm like, God, that's gotta be a terrible diet right there.
Maybe
Like,
they had beans and we just didn't see it.
maybe because the world is kind of barren almost. Like, there's no sign of life in this world except for the robots themselves.
Right.
But the bad guys do end up finding Sarah, or knowing of Sarah's existence, because she goes out and wanders, and this search party finds her after she finds the
Right.
robot and stuff. And she's like,
Which
"I gotta go ahead."
didn't she send something out and they like heard her voice so they knew that
Yeah,
she existed?
they heard her voice because they were searching for humans,
Yeah.
if there were any humans out there. And one of the things that they would search for was a voice. Like, that's why they always told Sarah not to speak when she was around like those certain robots.
Right.
So they wouldn't technically be able to identify her if she didn't speak in that aspect, But she's
Right.
like, I gotta go figure this out. I gotta go, and she's like, I'm gonna go to Eden 3. So she sneaks into Eden 3 to find this person who she wants to help, who asks for her help and stuff like that. And this part was kind of intense. I'm not gonna lie, where she gets into like this bucket filled with apples. There's
Oh
like
yeah.
a bin or whatever, and she's like, man, this is a long ride. And she's going through like this big tube system. She's like, I wonder what they do with the apples. And I totally got very much end of Toy Story 3 flashbacks where they're going into the fire, but in this one she was gonna go into like acid.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck! I had like so many flashbacks to Toy Story 3 at that moment. I was like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, they're gonna burn her alive,
Well, and
But
I couldn't remember if the acid was supposed to help dissolve the apples to pull the energy out,
yeah, it was.
because the that stuff played the role in how the robots got all their energy. It fueled
Yeah.
the electric power.
Yeah, they're supposed to pull out the energy from the apples and, like, I guess make it into energy.
Yeah, convert it.
Yeah, but I was so like blown away. I was like, oh my god, they're gonna kill her. They're gonna kill this little girl. And I was like, wait, she's the main character. They can't kill the little girl.
She has plot armor.
But she ends up getting in touch with a robot that is connected to the voice that she was talking to earlier. They end up going down to Eden 1, which is a lower level to Eden 3. It's in very much disarray, and we find out that there is an Eden 1, and Eden 1 is an AI system, and it's keeping all the humans alive in like cryogenic life support. And they
Right.
need the password in order to wake them up because time is running out. Which begs the question, how and why did Sarah's pod end up on the surface when I thought they were all down in the ground? Like, I don't know if they ever explained how Sarah's pod opened in this
Right.
in this because two pods open,
Right.
which is the doctor's pod and Sarah's pod.
Right.
Do you remember how her pod opened at the beginning, or supposedly opened?
Well, in the doctor's pod, he wasn't actually a thing,
Yeah, he was. He was in the pod.
I know, but he had already like kind of downloaded his memories into Zero.
No, he does it after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, that was the part that I've been confused about the whole time, because I thought things where it was him in the flesh,
where it was him, where it was him at the beginning, because it would switch back from past to present. When it was him with his daughter, it was like 400 years in the past.
Right. See, and that's where I was confused about, because I thought when he was in the flesh, it was all in the past, and whenever it was all the stuff of us talking about Zero, it was in the future.
It was Zero was in the future, except for when he went to go put his mind into Zero. Yeah. Spoilers: the doctor is the bad guy in this, because you find out that the doctor is the one who created the Eden system, because the world has gone such to shit that everybody's fighting. The world is not able to sustain itself with life and people. He comes up with this system to where, like, 1,000 years into the future or whatever it was, he's gonna have these robots basically build up the world again, so humans can come back out and live and repopulate society. That's what his whole goal was to do.
And there'll be enough food.
Yeah,
that will be around for people to eat.
Yeah, and we find out that his plan did work, but now he is all alone in this scenario because he has nobody. His wife has died. His daughter has died. he has no one because they died of like an illness of some kind, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Which is very sad scene to realize that he is the only one left, and he's like, "There's nothing left for me. I have
Well,
nothing left."
and then that's the weird thing because this makes me also think about. Have you seen the Passengers movie with
No,
like Chris Pratt and
no, I haven't seen that movie.
because it's like something happens and his pod has like a short and he wakes up
Yeah.
and he's supposed to be a maintenance guy,
Uh
but
huh.
he doesn't have a high like level security thing to do a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes around and tries to like do whatever he can, throws a tennis ball against the wall, and then he ends up finding out, you know, he goes past one of these other pods because he goes in and looks at everybody, reads their information, has already done that multiple times, and then he finds this one that he likes, and he's like, "Oh, I can't live without her," and then he ends up popping the thing open. Well, their ship is still on a course for like another 500 years to get to the planet that they're supposed to get to.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I felt like with part of this is that
But my question is, why didn't he wake up the other people?
I don't know. I mean,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. It's
he could have solved this problem by waking up the other people, unless he thought that humanity wasn't ready
right.
to be released into this new world that
Well, and
was created.
that's the thing that I'm confused about on though is he didn't have to wake everybody up, but he could have waked one person up.
True. But he goes into like a deep depression and he basically is like, I'm not going to live anymore. I'm going to be a robot. And that's where he creates Zero and he wants to basically erase humans from all existence
Right.
entirely.
Right. And the funny thing out of that is I think that this is the funniest instance in any anime I've seen where people want to eradicate humans without them actually doing nothing because they're all in
Yeah.
cryo sleep.
Yeah.
And it's really just everything he's done and him thinking about it in a negative way for him to be like, oh, well, if I'm corrupt, then everybody's corrupt.
My question is, what has he been doing for the past like 400 years?
I don't know. Because the other thing
Like,
is, how would you say that he stayed alive that long? I mean, he had to be put into cryo sleep or something on and off
hey,
to survive
I
that.
no, I think he came out of cryo sleep and he was probably around for like a year or something. And he was like, "Okay, let's put me into this robot body."
Okay.
That's what I think happened. That's what I take away from like all the information that I got from it.
Yeah.
But we find out like she needs to find his password. She doesn't know his password. Um, she ends
Sarah.
up getting, huh?
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah ends up getting needing this password to help all these people. Uh, One thing that's sad, she finds out that her parents aren't alive anymore, like her
Yeah.
actual parents, and she sees them
Right.
putting her into the pod, which is very like Superman esque, like putting your child into the pod to save them, and you can't be saved yourself. Very, very sad moment. But I think what was worse than that was when they all get captured by Zero and the mom and dad robot are being electrocuted and basically die.
Yeah.
I think that was so sad because they were like going back in their memories and saying things about Sarah and stuff. Like, they didn't want Sarah to get destroyed or whatever they were going to do to Sarah. I don't remember what they were going to do to her, but they were very adamant that oh, these people are not bad. Like humans aren't bad. Like humans are good.
Right.
And we get this scene where Sarah gets really upset and she just like takes out all these robots with their shocky baton stick thing, and then all the other robots are scared of her because uh you know humans aren't supposed to be violent like they've believed all these years. But
Right.
with this act of violence, it very much uh like changes what the robots believe themselves as to what they've been taught that were or the other robots have been taught, not the bad robots, but the good robots
Yeah.
have been taught, that oh, humans aren't bad, but she just killed all these robots
Right.
to protect her family, basically. But they don't see it like that.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and then for the robots to even think about it that way or whatever also puts it for them that now they have to be reprogrammed or whatever, because they're not supposed to change their thought patterns at all.
yeah, and that was always a worry, is that they were going to get reprogrammed and forget Sarah.
Yeah.
That was always one of the big things about it. And so Sarah's trying to figure out what this password is, and she's talking to the AI thing. And the AI thing's like, "Hey, time's run out. The cryo sleep is gonna end. And I can't keep these people alive anymore." And we get the big, epic, climactic robot battle with these two giant robots that we saw at the beginning of the anime.
Yeah, I felt like this is a Pokemon fight.
You did? Why? Why? How so?
Just because it's two of them going against each other, probably like a
Yeah,
cross between like Pokemon and Gundam.
but it wasn't just that. It was the bad robots fighting the good robots as well. So
Yeah,
you had that going on in that aspect, and she actually gets through to Zero because she's like, "I know who you are. Uh, you are a human. You're not a robot." And because that's when she figures out that, oh, the robots technically can't hurt her,
yeah.
but
Well,
since
and she found his old house,
yeah,
when he was in the flesh, and learned all this stuff about him too, to know all this stuff.
yeah, she did learn that stuff too, and she figures it out that, oh, he's not a robot, so he can technically hurt me if he wanted to.
Right,
So she kind of goes into survival instinct mode, it seemed like, and she tries to reason with him and get with him, and like, we can do this. We can have a world that your daughter wanted to live in, one that's filled with love, happiness, all this kind of stuff. A world that's safe. And he finally gives up the password to save all these people. And that's where the anime ends. Will the world be a better place now with humans in it? That's the question that begs to be answered. Did they do the right thing of
right.
of letting all these
Have
humans out?
have they stored enough up?
Yeah, have they stored enough up? Have they had enough food? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
Will the world just go back to the way it was? Who knows? It's very much left on an open-ended uh you know
right.
question, like, is this gonna can be a continuous loop or what?
Which
Who knows?
do you think that the pod that opened up that had the baby at the end, um, that she picked up? Do you think that that was like a clone or something of his daughter?
I don't know. I didn't really think of that.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
one of the things I was kind of questioning is
I don't know.
how they played part of that off. If it was
They
relevant,
didn't
or
mention
not, I guess.
they didn't mention anything about cloning, so I just thought maybe it was just another blonde-haired, blue-eyed person.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, that's where it ends, and it kind of leaves a little thing at the end to where uh you see them later on. I think like maybe a year has passed or something. Things are okay, and we find out that the doctor, um he's now in like this dog robot body because they're trying to figure out what to do with him. And he kind of changes his tune. He's not so bad anymore.
right.
And that's kind of where our anime ends. Now let me ask you, what did you think of this anime?
Well, I want to touch on something else real quick.
Okay.
Where she found her parent bots
Uh-huh.
again, and
Uh-huh.
then she kind of had to start the whole process, like if it was like in a movie that you would have watched where like somebody lost their memory or whatever, like she's trying to teach them everything back and replay
Uh-huh.
like all the moments she had.
Yeah.
Which at this point she's a little older. She's more of an adult.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but like seeing all that stuff, it's pretty crazy that, you would work at all that to get that
Hmm.
stuff back, instead of trying to search for memories and whatnot.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, we don't know really her motivation behind it.
Yeah. Well, because before, they lost it at one point and they still had like the stuff buried deep down inside of them. And I think that's kind of what she was thinking,
Yeah.
is that would come back out again. But
I mean, it did. They're still around.
yeah,
Like, they're still her parents, you know?
yeah. But you said, what would I rate this?
What did you think of this? Like, give me your initial thoughts of it. Like, your overall thoughts.
Um, I thought that for the amount of stuff that we got, that this was a pretty good storyline.
Hmm.
Um, it wasn't something that seemed like it was drawn out, because almost everything that we had to kind of watch in it had a purpose.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I think that was due to the fact that we only had 4 episodes to
Hmm.
do everything in. Versus some of the other shows that we cover, and there'll be
Uh-huh.
12 or 13 episodes, and they're like, oh man, yeah, we can make like a side love story to this,
Uh-huh.
whatever, things like that.
I don't really feel like there was a lot of fat on the story, like a lot of extra stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
It was, it had a very good beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
Uh, Everything does kind of wrap up in the end,
Right.
sort of. I mean,
Right.
there's that big, like, unanswered question. Will the world be better?
Right.
Um,
uh and then I think that I really think there wasn't that many like extra like mystery things that weren't tied up.
yeah, once you get like halfway through, you can kind of start putting the pieces together. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, like I started putting it together. Like, okay, is he a robot Zero, or is he in a robot suit? I was kind of curious about that.
Yeah, the
Mm.
only thing that I had a problem with, like I said earlier, was the time of it, because you don't actually, I don't feel like you fully get when the doctor is in the flesh and when he's a robot. Like, you can tell it happened in the past, but you don't know how
Uh-huh.
far in the past it happened.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's
And I
true. I can see that. What did you think of the animation?
um I thought the animation was good. You know, it's stuff that we've seen before, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
In a way,
especially like before the show, when you read off all the other stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, you and I have seen like almost all of this stuff.
yeah, yeah. The people who like animated it were like worked on Star Wars and stuff like that and all else. Bob the Builder was one of them, I think it was. Zoids was one of them. So they worked on
Cubic.
like a lot of stuff. But
Yeah.
for me, I th- there were points in the show where the animation did take me out of it.
Yeah.
Um, I couldn't get over Sarah's character design, like her outfit.
Oh
It
yeah.
just looked too. It was a little weird to me.
Yeah.
Um, for some reason, I kept getting like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind vibes because she would like wore a hat for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but like I was trying to figure out. I was like, what the hell is going on with her outfit? She has all these straps on her and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, what? Did she design this? Did her robot parents design this? How'd she come up with this outfit? I want to know.
Well,
You
and
know?
then playing off of that, like the other thing that I was kind of confused on is like, where do they get that material from? Like
Yeah, true. Where did they get the material from?
any
Was one
any
thing.
of that. any of that random stuff is like basically supposed to be like destroyed,
Yeah.
So for them to have this cloth, I really feel like if this wasn't so much of like, because I would say it leans more towards like a kids anime kind of sorta
Mm-hmm.
with adult themed like thinking parts, because
I really think this is like a more of like an all ages, like anybody can watch this.
yeah, and you'll get
Like
different out of it.
I wouldn't necessarily consider it like a kids anime
Yeah,
because it wasn't kidified enough to be a kids anime for me.
right.
In that aspect. Um, but there were times where I was like, "Oh, the animation looks really good in this part, in this part, in this part over here," and then there were times where I was just looking at it and I'm like, "Did something happen? Am I watching the same show?" Uh, like, like the animation quality would dip slightly and then come back up, dip slightly and come back up. But that
Yeah,
might be my preference for 3D CG anime, and I might be noticing all the little animation flaws in it. Um,
I
I
don't
felt
know.
that way.
You know what else that could mean though? Maybe
What?
since there were different people working on this, I wonder if somebody has a really high skill of doing the CG, and then some people.
Maybe, who knows, Like
You
I
should be
want
like, CGI worker 7207. I know who you are now, and your animation skills are not the best.
like I just wonder how we have like the Pixar movies, how they're like or the Disney Pixar movies and like they're really well animated.
Yeah,
Why can't Japan get on that level too? Like I know the Disney people spend years working on these things.
because it's not anime enough.
But they spend years working on these things to be really well animated.
Yeah,
And
right.
Japan hasn't risen to that aspect of having really good CG animation.
And yet Disney still fucks up sometimes.
I mean, sometimes they do, but usually they have good animation,
Yeah.
But like, so for
Well,
me,
I'm just pointing out like what you said. There will probably
what?
be like one or two mistakes in a Disney movie, and then like you said, like this one dips and comes back and dips, and like that's multiple times. So
Yeah,
we need you
like,
to only screw up like twice to be a Disney movie.
for me, I could get past the CG animation because I did actually enjoy the story.
Yeah,
Like I was entertained by the story, even though I did fall asleep halfway through episode 2 the first time I watched it, so I had to go back and rewatch it. But I did enjoy it, and it was very much um, like it's something that I would probably show other people. Maybe
yeah,
it's not too much to think about. It's a one and done story. It's not a big investment whatsoever. I actually enjoyed the voice cast. The voice cast was pretty good
yeah.
in this. They had some heavy hitters behind it, like David Tennant and is it
Neil
Rosario
Patrick.
Dawson
Yeah,
who was in it, and then Neil Patrick Harris was in it too.
right.
So you had some star power behind it, which was pretty cool. I was like, is that robot David Tennant? Because I was listening to it, I was like, that sounds like David Tennant. And I was like, it is. you know?
Which part of the other thing with that too is I really wonder like what their this is kind of getting away from the thing, but I really wonder what their licenses that they had or their agreements that they had with Netflix was.
Uh huh.
And if they were like, hey, we signed up to do X number of you know shows or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and they were like, because this is also like right after series of unfortunate events came out for Neil Patrick Harris and a couple other shows came out with these different people, and I kind of wonder if they were like, "Hey, buddy, so we have an agreement on this that you get one show from us a year. We want to
Oh
make
yeah.
we want to make this one, and we want to throw all
Like
of our big bangers on it."
like it's in their contract that like, oh, you're licensed to us for one more gig type of thing, or project.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Maybe they just wanted to be in it.
We're gonna throw y'all an easy ball here.
Maybe they just wanted to be in an animated movie,
Yeah.
But like, I enjoyed it enough to get past the animation. I don't know if it would be something I would watch again, or I might be curious to see if they do a second season, because I think there might have been rumblings that there might be a second season behind it. I don't know. Uh, I don't really need a second season, but I mean, it was a fun
Yeah.
anime that has a lot of heart in it.
Well, going off of that, do you think that it getting a second season would help it or hurt it?
I would say possibly hurt it.
Okay.
To
Yeah,
be to be to be honest.
that's my consensus of it too, because I feel like if you added anything of what happened afterward, it's either is the world doomed or are we just like on an easy like straight plateau level?
I mean, I kind of like the open endedness of it, and the fact that we
Right.
don't know is enough for me. I don't need to know their entire story.
Right.
You know, but I would definitely recommend people at least check it out. It might not be for you, and that's perfectly fine. But I did enjoy this anime, if you
Right.
can call it anime.
I would
This
I
three,
would
this
say I would say this is probably one of those ones because you and I have kind of talked about doing an episode on it. This would be one of those starter anime s things that I think you could use to get people into it
yeah, possibly,
because it's short, sweet, and basically to the point. So
yeah,
I think it would be one of maybe like three or four things that you could recommend for people to start out watching.
yeah, yeah. So
So
what would you rate this anime?
um I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I I still feel like it was missing something.
Uh huh.
Um because and the other thing is, I've seen this before
Uh huh.
and I felt like the second time around it was a lot it didn't have the mystery about it.
Uh huh.
Since I had already seen it, I already knew kind of where everything was going. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, well, there's nothing new that's going to be added to this. So,
Yeah.
uh, and it's not a big movie where you can watch it and pick out something else in it later. I mean, everything else is kind of it's right there in your face. So I didn't
Yeah.
feel like I drew anything extra off of this and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And I watching it again, I felt like it might have been missing a little something, but I couldn't
Maybe
put my finger on what it was.
it's fine and fun. It's fine and fun.
Right,
Nothing right home about. I would
right.
give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, so a 3.7,
Uh,
75.
sure.
Well, I mean, just for ours together.
I guess, yeah.
So,
It was not mid. It was above mid.
right.
Yeah.
Because mid would be 2.5, so I gave it an extra
I gave it an extra point.
point.
It's no Spriggan. It was better than Spriggan.
Oh my god. Oh my god. We don't want to bring that up. But
Yeah.
well, so let me bring that up too for you real quick because I do want to
Uh-huh.
get a little controversy on this real quick.
Okay.
So between watching this and us watching Spriggan and Ultraman,
I
um,
didn't watch Ultraman.
I thought you watched the show.
No.
Okay, well then cutting out Ultraman, but between those two, since they
Uh-huh.
worked on Spriggan as well, did you feel like the?
No, the director worked on the movie Spriggan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought they worked on the CGI
No,
for the remake.
he worked on the original Spriggan movie.
Okay. Yeah, when we were talking about it, I thought that's what you were talking about. And I
No.
was like, well, it was made after this, and you like this CGI kind of, sort of. in that one, you had a lot of complaints about, no, this CGI looks like shit.
So I thought the CG in this was a lot better than Spriggan.
Yeah.
Like the character models were consistent in this versus Spriggan. Like the only dips in quality I saw was in animation itself, not with the models that they used.
Yeah.
Like the character models. The character models all stayed on point because they were all robots half the time.
Right.
You know, there was only one person, 2 people technically in this movie, 3, I guess. You know, but yeah. Go check it out if you're looking for something new, looking to get into some sci-fi. If you're not haven't been into like science fiction before, it's not a bad sci-fi movie to check out. Yeah, I would recommend checking it out. It's not terrible.
Is there anything in this that you would tell people to focus on more? Like maybe like that you didn't notice like early on or something, but thinking back on it?
There's one thing I didn't notice is her battle cry is like robot talk.
I don't know
Like
if I knew that either.
like she would go,
Oh.
and that was like the robot speak that she learned.
I don't know if I remember if I heard her do that either. Like if I remember that.
She does it. Yeah, she does it. It's pretty funny.
Well, it's got to be better. There was another show I watched where they were like, "Hey, you got to sing," and there's a robot in it, and it was the AOL startup, and I was like, "No, it didn't do that." Oh god! At least it wasn't that.
Yeah, I mean, there was some pretty good animation in this. Like, there was a whole like dance sequence that I thought was really well done.
Yeah,
it looked like it was like rotoscoped.
Yeah,
it was pretty like had like rotoscoped animation, which was pretty cool. And it was the voice acting was good. There were points that I did enjoy. I didn't hate any of the characters.
Yeah. And
I
what
thought
was your favorite part?
my favorite part. I was probably the very beginning when they were raising the baby, which was pretty fun.
Yeah,
like watching them like figure it out and stuff. I thought that was fun and cute. Yeah.
yeah, I'd agree with that. And then the night before her mission, I think was my other favorite part.
Yeah.
So
it's not terrible,
right? So just didn't Graves get another positive point? I don't even know what we're up to anymore.
I would say for now it's positive.
You dick.
We'll see.
You dick. You're gonna watch it again. Oh no, my second watch to it sucked.
It sucked. I hate this.
So
terrible.
So that's good. So a family movie that you can watch with your kids. Get them a little bit into CGI animation.
Yeah.
And it has a fairly decent storyline that's not going to ruin your day trying to watch every episode of it.
Yeah, it's not like ear bleeding, stuff like that. It's not like, I mean, there are worse anime out there. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, like Spriggan. Yeah. So, well, as always, guys, go check us out. Check out some of our other shows and whatnot. And we will see you guys next Tuesday.
Bye.